Welcome to Barn Yoga. Thank you so much for joining me practicing today. We're going to start in a seated position. Try to make sure that your hips are higher than your knees. I'm using a block. You may use rolled up towels or something else to elevate your sits bones. We'll just start by getting present. So take a moment to look around your room, or maybe you're outside, wherever you are. Maybe notice 3 things in your environment. And if you're comfortable, you can let your eyes close or your gaze soften and turn your attention to what you hear. Sounds that are far away, sounds that seem closer. And then we'll bring our attention into the body, into the breath, feeling it enter through the nostrils and go all the way down into the belly. And then release up from the belly, past the ribs, out the chest, and dropping out of the nose or the mouth, whatever is most comfortable for you. Let's take another big, deep breath in. Filling the belly, the ribs, the chest. And then just sigh it out. All the way out, chest, ribs, belly. And on the next inhalation, see how much air you can fill your torso with. So really taking a great big deep breath, feeling the rib cage open to accept the breath, feeling the chest rise to accept the breath. And then just letting it all fall out. Just drop the chin to the chest, stretching out the back of the neck, allowing that upper back to just release. Feel the tension that might be stored there. And then allow the left ear to fall to the left shoulder, stretching out the neck to the side. Inhale, exhale, drop the chin back to the chest. And on the next inhalation, rolling the right ear to the right shoulder. Inhaling here, and exhale to the front. And just take this a few more times. Inhaling, really rolling out the neck. Ear to shoulder, stretching through the side of the neck, and allowing it all to come back to the front. And as you do this, maybe think about what you want to focus on during this practice, what you might come back to as an anchor when your mind starts to wander, when things maybe feel a little uncomfortable. And I would like to suggest that perhaps this is a great time to think about listening. Listening to our bodies, listening to our emotions. Let's just lift the head back to center. So listening to those voices that tell us, oh, it's too hard, or this is a waste of time. Just letting them pass by. Most of all, listening to our breath. If you're sitting on a block, let's remove it, and we're going to come back into a child's pose. So knees wide to the edges of the mat, hips sink back to the heels, and we just allow the whole thing to fall over, resting into the earth. So mostly we want to be aware of the breath, listening to the breath.
If the breath starts to become labored or uneven, then we know that we are going a little too far, and we bring it back to where we can really have a nice, long, slow, even breath on the inhales as well as on the exhales. So here in Child's Pose, let's just tense the fingers and draw the shoulders out up toward the ears, and then sink them back along the back. So we're raising the shoulders toward the ears and then pulling them back down along the back. One more time, the fingers rise, the shoulders press all the way up. You can feel your under your armpits is stretching, then pull it all the way back. Now we're just going to roll the wrists toward each other so the underarms are facing out away from each other, and then twist them back to bring the upper arms, the forearms, turning toward each other. So we're drawing the scapula toward each other here as we flip the wrists, back of the wrist to each other, and then we're pulling them away as we flip the arms over, the forearms over. So contracting the shoulder blades and expanding the shoulder blades. Let's do one more like that. Exhale. Bring it back to center and just see if the back can fall a little bit longer in this pose. Inhaling, feeling the breath come the entire length of the spine, tailbone, all the way up the spine to the mouth, to exhale. And then tenting the fingers again, we're going to walk them off to the left side, just stretching through the right side body. Fingers are stretching toward the left, rib cage is stretching toward the right, so you're getting a nice long stretch in the side. Inhale to create even more space. And on the next exhalation, we'll tiptoe the fingers back to center. And inhaling them up, we exhale off to the other side. So tiptoeing the fingers off to the right, stretching through the left side body. Big breaths here, stretching through the ribs. Opening up the side of the body. And then tiptoeing back to center. See if the front of the body sinks any lower toward the mat. See if you can give anything more into gravity, allowing everything just to sink. Tenting through the left fingers, we'll draw the right arm under the body and rest on that right cheek, stretching under the left. You can look under that left arm. Feel the stretch along the top of the right shoulder. Inhaling to create more space, maybe even activate the bottom arm, pulling the back in opposite directions. And then exhaling the whole thing back to the center. Tenting up on the right fingers and threading the needle with the left arm through. Stretching across the back. Really feel how full you can make these breaths and how they open more space in the body. And exhale the whole thing back to center. Coming up into our table, take some cat and cows.
So inhaling, pelvis drops, arching through the back, head is the last thing to lift. Exhale, pelvis tips, curl up the back, really puffing through the shoulder blades. And inhale, everything comes back up into cow. Exhale to cat. Do a few more of this on your own breath. Try to expand the movement so it's really lasting the entire duration of each inhalation and exhalation. Think about luxuriating through this movement. Coming to rest in table. Extend the left leg back, push through the left heel, stretching through the foot. You can turn the foot over if you want to the instep. And then lift the leg straight, one long line, heel to crown. And on the exhale, we'll draw knee to chest. So inhaling here nice and long, exhale pulls it in. Inhale. And the next one, we hold it out, bend the knee up, can open up the hip, maybe do a few hip circles, lubricating that joint. Other way, if that feels good to you. Extend the leg long and lift the right arm so that your opposite arm and leg both stretching in opposite directions. Navel is lifted to spine, energizing through the fingertips and out through the heel. Bend the knee again and draw the right arm around to reach the left foot, ankle, wherever you can. And if it's comfortable, you can give a little pull. Nice, long, deep breaths. Foot is pressing into hand. And extend everything long again. Replace back to table. And pull back to child's for 2 big breaths. Coming back to table, right leg extends back. Push through the heel, stretching through the foot and the calf. Turn the foot over if you want. Waking up the foot. Lift the leg, one long line, heel to crown. And on the exhale, we'll bring knee to chest. Extend the leg long. Lift the left arm, pulling through the fingers, pulling through the heel. One long line here. Oh, I'm sorry, replace the left arm. We didn't do our little hip circle. So you can open up the hip, do some circles here. Sorry about that. Now we will extend the arm, extend the leg. Bend the knee, bend the leg at the knee again. Hand comes to foot if you can. Even if you can't make it here, it's a really good, you can envision it. And when you can start practicing it by seeing it in your mind's eye, eventually you will get there. Pressing the foot into the hand, really feeling active along the entire back. Extend the leg, extend the arm. Bring everything back to table and fall back into child's pose. From here we lift back to table, extend the left leg back. We're going to bring the knee to the outside of the left elbow. So inhaling, extend, exhaling, bring it in. Inhale, exhale. 2 more like this. And then we're going to bring it to the right elbow. So we're going to cross the knee under the body, exhaling it in. You don't want to go beyond your flat back. So we're not trying to kick the leg higher. We're just keeping it all flat. Last one, extend it out, and now we're going to draw it under the body between the 2 hands. So arching, curling the back up, bringing the knee through into a low lunge. And you may have to adjust your foot a little bit farther forward. Come into that lunge and just feel the stretch through the right hip flexor. Keep the back high if you can. If you have a block that's useful. If you don't want to be on your fingertips, you can be on wherever your hands meet. Books work if you don't have blocks. Whatever you can to help your back stay straight. That's what we're trying to do. From here, we'll just walk it back into our half split. Knee can still have a generous bend, but the idea is to keep the back flat again. So we're really in a diagonal line from tailbone to head, keeping a straight spine. Breathing here. If you engage the quadriceps, opening up more space in the back of the leg. Listening to what that stretch may be telling you. Is it giving you a lot of unnecessary chatter? Can you feel the release when you stay through the discomfort? We'll just flow this a little bit. So we'll come forward into the low lunge and back into that half split. Forward, inhaling, and come back on the exhale. The knee can stay as bent as you want it to. The idea is to keep the back flat and feel the stretch through the back of the leg. What it looks like doesn't matter. This is all about how it feels. One more each way. Bring it front. And we'll just come back to table and sink back to child's pose. See if you feel any different from when you started. Come back to table, extend the right leg back, and we'll bring the right knee to the outside of the right arm. So inhaling here, exhale. And to the opposite elbow. Exhale across the body. And draw the knee through the foot all the way to between the hands and perhaps walk it forward. Let the entire body sink forward. Knee stays over the foot. It may go a little farther than the ankle, but you want to try to keep it as aligned with the ankle as you can. Allowing gravity to help open up the hip flexor. Maybe it's thanking you for this, for giving it some space, for letting it move. And on the inhale, exhale, we'll take the whole thing back, half split. Engaging the quadriceps, allowing there to be a generous bend in the knee. Back stays engaged, navel to spine. Long, deep breaths here. Yes, my back of my leg is definitely talking to me. The fear of opening up. What is it that the muscles are so afraid of releasing? And is that a metaphor for us when we stay closed and tight? And we'll simply walk it forward, inhaling into the hip flexor, exhaling over the bent knee. Inhale up, exhale back. I can feel mine getting a little bit more open each time I pull back. I don't know if you're noticing the same thing. One more. We'll bring it forward, replace the knee, and sink back into the hips. And then coming up again, flip the toes, push into the feet, and we're just going to hover for a few moments. Hovering, puffing up through the back, the upper back, so shoulder blades are pulling away from each other. Forearms turn toward, they're rotating toward outside, so the armpits are drawing into one another, toward each other, in, which means the elbows are facing the back. The pointy part of the elbow is facing toward the knees. One more breath here, lifting up through the wrists. We really don't want to be sinking into the wrists. The palms are pressing in, but the wrists are pulling up. Push back to down dog. You can pedal out the feet, bend the knees, lift up into the tippy toes. Whatever you need to do here just to settle into that pose. Stretching through the legs, backs of the legs, and really the back, making that nice long line of the back. From here, we'll just do a few keeping the arms engaged, lifting through the abdominals. We lift onto the toes and come forward into a plank. Holding plank. We need to adjust the hands so that they're directly under the shoulders, pressing through the heels, through the arms. Navel is lifted, abdominals are lifted toward the spine. Lift the hips, push back to down dog. We'll just flow through this a few times. So lifting the hips, we come forward to plank, lift to go back. Up and forward, up and back. Inhale brings you up, exhale puts you down. Two more like this. And then we will drop the knees, come to child's, rise to table. And this will be our connecting series. So we push into down dog, drop to table, sink back to child's, and come back up the same way. So it's like a little wave coming forward and back and forward and back. 2 more like this. And eventually we will all meet in down dog. Here in down dog, take a moment to make sure you're pressing into the knees can be bent, making sure the spine is long. Lift the left leg to the sky and do another little hip opening if they still need to feel like a little bit of space can be found. Extending the right leg straight, hips are square. Knee comes through the midline, placing the foot between the hands, rising up to warrior one. Feel the feet strong here in warrior one. Back foot is at a 30 to 45 degree angle. Legs are still hip width apart, so we're not on a tightrope, we're still square. Tracking along the same line of the hips as when we're walking. From here, we simply rise up, goddess arms come down. Inhale. Ha. 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 Arms are raising toward the sky, navel to chest. Bringing the hands back through goddess, hands to the hips, straighten the front leg. Allow the back leg to come a little bit closer and turn the toes the same direction. Lifting up through the back, we're just going to go over with a flat back. Again, feeling a stretch through the front hamstring. Engage the quadricep to allow more space in the back of the leg. Breathe here. And we'll just take that up and back a few times, allowing the fascia to release. So lifting up through the back, maybe even extending it, and then taking it forward. So this is a real challenge to balance as well as everything else. And the way that we accommodate that is engaging the abdominal muscles, pulling the upper thighs toward one another, and the feet pull apart. So we've got a lot of opposites going on. Feet pulling apart, upper thighs pull together, abdominal muscles pulling in. And one last over, stay here. Open the arms to the sides, engaging the belly. Bend the front knee, arms come forward. Lift the whole thing back up. You can turn the back foot to come back to warrior one. Sink into the front knee, lift up to the sky, hands come back down. Replace the leg back to downward facing dog. And we'll just sink back down to our child's pose. Come back to table, push to down dog. Right leg rises, do whatever little wiggles you need to get the hip open again. Stretch the right leg behind you. And then bring it through. Rise up, warrior one. Make sure the front knee is over the front ankle. Pressing into the outer edge of the back foot. We just raise up with an exhale, bringing the arms down. Ha. 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 Sink it down here. Lift through the back, extend to the sky. Straighten everything out. Arms come through goddess to hips. Adjust the back foot so that the feet are parallel. Hips are still, legs are still hip width apart. And take a flat back over, lifting up through the right quadricep. You can have blocks here if you want. But part of the challenge is our balance. Remembering to scissor the legs together while the feet are pressing apart. Abdominals remain lifted. Inhale the whole thing up. Exhale the whole thing over. Inhale up, extend through the back if you wish. Exhale all the way over. Inhale up. Exhale over. There may be so much going on right here that you're too busy thinking about all the moving parts to hear much else. So we'll stay here in the forward fold for a few breaths. You can possibly hear your legs talking to you, possibly hear your abdominals. Arms extend to the sides. Front knee bends, arms come to the front, lifting through the abdominal muscles so you're one flat line. Turn the back foot out and lift to warrior one. Sink into the front knee. Lift through the arms, through the back. Shoulders remain pressed away from the ears. And bring the whole thing back down to down dog. And sink back to child's pose. We're going to add on here a little, coming back through table, push to down dog, left leg lifts, steps through immediately to your warrior one, lifting up, we'll come back to arms to the hips and come forward again. Adjust the back leg if you need to. Quadricep engages, arms extend to the side. And we're simply going to twist the whole thing as far as you can. You may prefer to take an arm behind the back. Maybe your lower arm comes to your shin. If you have a block, that's useful. Or if you want to stay balancing, that's fine too. Remember to pull up, keep the left knee lifted. Breathing here. And see what happens when you stay long enough. What releases? What starts to feel safe enough that it can open up? Come back center, bend the front leg, lift the arms back up to warrior two, swivel the foot back out. Perhaps take an even deeper back bend here. Sweep the arms back down. Come back through. Down dog. Lower the knees. Pull back to child's. Coming right back up, we take the other side. Raising the right leg, step through to warrior one. Take a moment to really feel firm in that position. Hips are square, abdominals lifted, sinking into the right knee. Then straightening up, adjusting the back leg, arms come back down to the hips and fold forward. Engaging the front quadricep. Arms extend, and we take a twist. Upper arm can go to back or can be raising to the ceiling. It's all about what's comfortable for your shoulder. Hand can come to the mat, to a block. You have a block, maybe a higher setting. Allows more of a twist. It's where your body needs to feel the movement right now. The opening. Deep breaths. Long, deep breaths. Can you hear the quality of the breath? Smooth and even. Exhale it back square. Arms come. I'm sorry, I don't remember what was the sequence. Lower, bending the knee, extending the arms, rising back up to warrior one. Perhaps taking a deeper back bend this time. Bringing it all back down to the mat. Through down dog, pressing through, and holding back to child's. Once more, moving through table, pushing into down dog. Lift the left leg, step it through, warrior one. We'll take this a little quicker this time. So from warrior one, you straighten up. Bend it forward and twist. Come all the way back down this time to a high lunge. Hands come on the inside of the left foot. You can scooch that foot out to lizard. You can even allow your leg to open if you're on the outside of the foot. Maybe even bring the elbows down or onto a block. Really opening through that hip. Come back up. We'll turn the front foot to face me and roll over on the back, outer edge of the back foot. Top arm can be on the hip or raised, and we'll simply sink the hips down and lift them up. Sink them down, lift them up, down and up, down and up. If you're comfortable here, you may want to move that front foot back to a side plank, pushing through the lower arm, feeling the top arm pulling you higher. Side body is engaged, lifting up out of the hips. You can add more by lifting the top leg or extending the top arm forward. Hold it here. And then bring it into a plank. Holding that plank, maybe lower the knees, push through the heels, lower the knees, push through the heels. 2 more. Then lower the knees all the way down and come back into a child's pose.
One more deep breath.
And come back to table. Push all the way up to down dog. Lift the right leg up. Place it through the hands. Coming up to warrior 1. Hands come to hips. Back foot adjusts. Forward fold. Inhale here. Exhale, twist. Inhale, back up. Coming through, back through warrior 1, bringing the whole thing down to the mat, walking the front foot out into your lizard, whatever level your body is asking for. You can stay up here, that's perfectly fine. I'm feeling a great stretch through that hip flexor. You can open the front knee to feel more of a stretch on the inner thigh. You can bring the arms down, you can leave them up. Listening to your body, listening to your needs. And listening to your needs, not necessarily the voice that's telling you negative things to get you to compete in a way that's not healthy. I'm against competition anyway. Turning the front foot out in yoga anyway. Sinking over, letting the outer edge of the back heel. You can stay here with the arm or lift it. Lowering and lifting the hips so you're feeling your side body really pulling you up. You're feeling a stretch through the hip and then strengthening through the side body, strengthening through the forearm of the lower arm, even through the upper arm if you're pulling up to the ceiling. One more here, and we leave it here. Stretch, stretch, stretch. If you want, you can add the side plank and any of the various kramas, lifting a leg, bringing the arm over the head, or even just leaving the arm on the hip. Making sure you're pressing up through the bottom hip. And the lower arm is turned in the socket, energizing the forearm. One more breath here. And then bring it to regular plank. Hold it here, puffing through the upper back, bending the knees, pushing through the heels. Inhale, exhale back. Or the opposite. Just keep breathing. Last one pushes back, knees bend all the way down to the mat. And pull back to child's pose. And rest here for a few deep breaths. From here, we're just going to pull the whole thing out. So we're in a prone position. Arms can stay, the barn floor is really dirty. I hope your floor is not as dirty as this. You might want to Superman your arms in front of you, forehead on the mat, because we're going to do a little swimming. Inhale, left arm, right leg come up. Exhale, they go down. Other side. We'll just swim for a little while. While we're swimming, we're really thinking about extending the arm forward, the leg back. The extension is what lifts up. So we're pulling away from each other and pulling away from each other so hard that that's what lifts it up. Let's do 2 more to each side. Pull the arm and the leg away. Feeling strong through the back. Last one. And you can just take a cheek. Rest here. Lift the knees, the feet up, and just a windshield wiper side to side with the legs. Lower the feet back down. Left leg comes to the side in a 90-degree angle into a frog. And we'll just hang out here. Resting the arms wherever they're comfortable. Letting the hip open up. Letting everything sink into the ground. Listen to what your body needs. Listen to the changes in your breath. Lifting up onto the left elbow, right arm comes under, and we simply twist. Allow the back to open, twisting toward the left side. And coming back onto the belly. Right leg comes up to that 90-degree angle. Or whatever angle is comfortable for you. You may want to adjust the foot closer to the body or farther away from the body. Depending on what's comfortable for your knee. If you want a towel under your knee. Sometimes it's a little bit hard on our bones. Allowing the hip to open. Let gravity simply open more space. lifting up onto the right arm, threading the left under, coming back onto our backs for a twist. And bring the whole thing back over onto your belly. Push through your hands, up through your back, all the way back to our oh so familiar child's pose. Allowing the back to release and sink over the hips. Everything can melt into the ground. From here, you'll just come back onto the back. Lying with your back on the mat, let's bring knees into chest. And from here, you may want to put a block under your sacrum or your hands. We're simply going to bring the knees into the chest and then push the heels straight up, legs up the wall. So we're letting the blood flow back through, back to the heart, allowing everything to reset. It's a great de-stressor. It's a great pose for if you're suffering from insomnia. I think a lot of us are around now. Also a good time to listen to those voices, and if we can become the observer, just to watch them enter and leave, fly through the brain, and not engage with them. It's a wonderful time to increase our meditation, to practice different kinds of meditation, to become a witness to our thoughts and know that we are not our thoughts. Become a witness to our feelings, knowing that we are not our feelings. And when you've had enough here, and the knees into the chest. If you're on a block, please remove it. And we'll just take a happy baby. You can grab hold of your big toes with your peace fingers. You can take the outside of your foot. Some people prefer the inside of the foot. But we want to think about bringing the knees to the armpits and leaving the sacrum pressed against the floor. So we're still opening the hips here. Still an active pose, even though it feels like it's just, it is fun. You can rock around a little bit. And if you don't want to take it as actively, you certainly don't have to. You can just let it be a little floppier. Just stay here for another few breaths. Really see how low can you let that breath go. when you're ready, release the feet. I like to take a Supta Baddha Konasana, reclined butterfly, just to let the knees flap open. If you want to take any last twisting, any last final stretches before our final resting pose, feel free. If you're ready for Shavasana, you may take it on your back, just allowing your legs to be heavy. Your feet flop out to the sides, thighs are apart, arms heavy by the side. Palms can be up or down depending on your comfort. You may take Shavasana on your belly or on your side. The point is to feel as nourished, as comfortable, as released as you can possibly be. Allow the lids to close if that is comfortable for you. And the weight of your body to simply sink into the earth. You are free to stay in this position of rest for as long as you like. Otherwise, you may want to bring a little bit of movement to your fingers and toes. Deepen the breath. Take a big stretch, roll to one side. Eventually, push yourself up to a seated position. If you wish, you may also just stay as you are. I am grateful for your joining me in the barn. I honor you and invite you to honor yourself for making the time for your practice, for making the time for yourself. May you be well. May you be safe. May you have peace. Namaste.